Hello, everyone. Welcome to Unity of New Westminster's celebration service. Please join in the singing of our opening song today.
Well, have you ever felt as if your life was overwhelmed by all the pressures that surround you and all the struggles that have found you? Well, now don't you hide your light. Take a chance and open wide. And you can be the change. You can be the change. You can be the change that you want to see, and the world will change if you be the change. If you be the change that you want to see in the world. Have you ever thought that you are powerless and flawed? Have you questioned, who am I? What can I do with one small life? Well, don't you hide your light. Bring it forth and let it shine. And you will be the change. You will be the change. You will be the change that you want to see, and the world will change if you be the change. If you be the change that you want to see in the world. Well, gather around this song, my friends. Sing it loud and raise your hands. As we sing, we'll start to shine. We'll become a nation made of light. And we will be the change. We will be the change. We will be the change that we want to see, and the world will change if we be the change. If we be the change that we want to see, and the world will change when we be the change. When we be the change that we want to see in the world.
Welcome back. I am Reverend Rhona Segarra, and it is my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the community at Unity of New Westminster in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. We would love to stay connected with you, so please subscribe to our newsletter or like us on Facebook or subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that way you can always know what's going on in our community. The Unity movement offers ideas for full and abundant living. We draw on the teachings of Jesus, who we consider our primary way shower and example. And we honor that there is universal wisdom to be found in faith traditions, in song, in story, in poetry, all over the planet. We respect and honor every person's right to choose their own life path. All are welcome here. All are worthy here. All are celebrated here. We open our service today in prayer. I gratefully acknowledge that I speak to you on the traditional
and unceded territory of the Semiahmoo First Nation. And we give thanks to First Nation peoples everywhere for their custody of this beautiful land. We give thanks for our connection one with each other. That connection that happens whether we are in each other's physical presence or not. The connection that binds us all together. We acknowledge that there is only one presence, that there is only one power, that power that is understood by many names, many faces, and many paths. And we affirm that regardless of the name, the face, or the path of our understanding, that we are one human family. And it is in that knowledge of our oneness that we send a blessing for love, for peace, for contentment to every being on this planet, to every being, regardless of all the labels that threaten to divide us. We are one. And for this knowledge, for this intention, and for the power that we have to bless, we give thanks. Amen.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Aaron Johannes. I'm the president of the board of Unity of New Westminster Spiritual Committee, and I'm so glad to be here and fellow board member. And Greta has an announcement. Thanks. Greta.
Hello, everyone. I am thrilled to make this announcement that tentatively we have set February 13th to be a trial run at the church. The church will be all set up. It'll be very clear what seats are available and what is not available, just to keep the spacing as close to 6 feet as possible. As you know, we'll all be wearing masks just to keep the protocols as close as possible so that no one comes down with the sniffles or anything else. Barb is the other greeter, and we'll be taking turns or doing separate areas just to guide people in, and there'll be ushers there in the sanctuary itself. I am thrilled that we're having our first service tentatively on the 13th, but I'm just thrilled. Thank you.
We're looking forward to seeing you February 13th, 11 o'clock. Bring your own mask, or we've got some there. Thanks, Greta. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Isn't that great news? We've been waiting so long for a return to in-person services. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone in person on Sunday, February the 13th at 11. And for those who watch from home, rest assured that our online service will continue just as it is now, also starting on Sundays at 11 o'clock, available at that time or later on demand on Facebook and on YouTube. So February 13th at 11 for our first live and in-person service in almost 2 years, and also available on YouTube and Facebook on Sundays at 11 and on demand. I can't wait to see you all.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can make me forgive. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down the road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down the road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. My decision, right here and now.
In 1989, Connie Fillmore, the great-granddaughter of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, who are the co-founders of Unity, Connie Fillmore wrote an article for Daily Word magazine in which she summarized the teachings of Unity. And she summarized these into 5 basic principles. These principles remind us that we are all part of an interconnected whole, that we are all part of each other, and that we are all part of all that is, life, the universe, and everything. These principles offer insights for us into how we can create our life experiences, or how we can respond to our life experiences with the power of our minds. They give us ideas about what we can do to be more intentional with our thoughts. And they offer a feedback loop to help us to live in a place of more peace, more wisdom, and more joy. I like to remember things by putting them to song. I find it easier to remember them that way. And so I created this little song set to the tune of Happy Birthday to imprint these principles into my brain. I hope they help you in the same way. The song goes like this. One universal power, a network of all. Ideas lead to experiences. Take time to be still. You'll live in peace. Well, maybe you like my singing, maybe you don't. Hopefully you find some value in the song. Today, I want to talk about the third principle of unity. And I'm going to start by telling you a story. The third principle being ideas lead to experiences. And I'm going to tell you this story. Several years ago, many years ago now, I used to be the general manager at the Party Bazaar in Vancouver. It was a Halloween and party store, and most of our earnings for the year was based on sales of Halloween. And so the bonuses for the staff and for myself were based on Halloween sales. And we were unsure if we were going to meet our sales target. It was Halloween day, so we were right near the end, and everyone was having a pretty good time, but we were also a little nervous. We were a little unsure about whether we were going to meet our target. And of course, me as the general manager, I was really concerned because I wanted everyone to be rewarded for all of their hard work, me included. So I would sneak away throughout the day to check on the sales. And sometime in the afternoon, we met the goal. And I could immediately feel the anxiety as it left my body. Immediately, I felt lighter, I felt more expansive, I felt more free than I had before. For sure, the money was spent a long time ago. But the memory of how my outlook shifted in an instant has always remained with me. I realized that day, that the power to show up free and fun and expansive and energized had always been with me. The only thing that changed that day, that allowed that to come to the forefront and be expressed, was that I changed my mind. And this is the third principle of unity, which reads, thoughts create experiences. A longer version is, human beings create their experiences by the activity of their thinking. Everything in the manifest realm has its beginning in thought. The shortest version, consciousness creates. Or in my musical version, sung to the song of Happy Birthday, ideas lead to experiences. Ideas lead to experiences. We create constantly. Think of it this way. If we can accept that we live in a universal field of creative energy that some call God, others call Creator, some call the Force, some call Gaia, the universe, quantum, by whatever our understanding for that creative energy that forms all of us, if we can accept that there is no spot that God is not, which is unity's first principle, and we follow that logic to its next logical conclusion, which is that there is no spot that God is not, including us, then we live and breathe and have our being within that creative energy called God. And not only that, but that we are expressions of that creative energy. This is now principle 2 of unity, that there is no spot that God is not, including us. And if that is so, that we are all part of this creative energy, in fact, that we are all expressing as creative energy, then how can we possibly not be creative? Our ideas, our thoughts, our feelings and beliefs all have formative, energetic, creative power. We know this as the law of attraction or the law of mind action. The book, The Secret, is all about this idea. And at some level, you may have experienced an aspect of this power. We often call it coincidence. For example, when we think of someone that we haven't seen for a while or haven't connected with for a while, and we think about them, and within an hour, a day, a week, we get a phone call from them or an email or a text, or we see them unexpectedly. This is that energetic, magnetic, attracting force that we all have. And one of the misperceptions about this force that we have is that we are therefore responsible for everything that happens to us. And that, my friends, is not true. If we have had something that has happened to us that is unpleasant, it does not mean that we have done something wrong, that somehow we have, some karmic reason that we've thought too much about something and now we've drawn it into our lives in a negative way. Please hear me when I say that you did not attract the physical or emotional abuse, the life-threatening or unwelcome diagnosis, the angry divorce, the unwarranted job loss, the car accident, the fire, the end of a relationship, the death of a friend or loss of a loved one. This is life doing life. It is not something that you have called into your life in some way. It is true that we have power, yes. And every other person on the planet also has energetic power. And we live in this creative energy field, which is greater than we can understand. We are not islands separate from everything else. In fact, we are most certainly interconnected with all that is. And that means that other people and their energy, other things and their energy affect our life. Life, including joy and sorrow, happens to all of us. We all influence each other. Remember, in Matthew, Jesus says, the rain falls on the righteous and the unrighteous, and the sun shines on the just and the unjust. Well, by now you may feel confused. On the one hand, I have just suggested that your ideas and thoughts have creative power, And in the next few sentences, I've said that your life experiences are not all your fault. Is it possible that both ideas can be true at the same time? I think so. I think that this is a place where both and works. Although many of the things that happen to us may be within our control, there are other things in our lives that are outside of our control because of this field of interconnectedness with others. And so our goal is to acknowledge what we can control and what we are unable to control. And then we do our very best as energetic beings to respond to the things that we can control and respond in a way which we can control. And sometimes this part is the hardest because we speak, we act, we think, all based on ideas and thoughts and beliefs that we hold, that we have. And most of those ideas and thoughts and beliefs that we have are beliefs that we've had for many, many years. And so the actions we take and the words we speak and the thoughts we have are all done out of habit. Not all, mostly done out of habit. Most of what we say or think or do, we do out of habit. It doesn't mean that we aren't creating. It's that we create without really paying attention to what we're doing. In much the same way as I might have an idea that I want to walk from spot number A to spot number B, I can walk there without any real conscious thought. I'm still creating, I'm just not really paying attention to the mechanics of the creation. And in much the same way, we create all the time without really paying attention to what we are doing. And so most of the way that we create, most of the ways that we show up are habitual. And why does this matter? Well, because just like the example that I shared with you about me being a little nervous one moment and then being happy and expansive the next, I recognize that I not only had the power to change how I showed up in an instance, but I recognized that I had that power all along. All that I had to do in order to create a day that was fun for me and for those around me was to change my idea about that day earlier. And instead of worrying and being in my normal state, which is thinking about the consequences of what might happen, I could have chosen to be happy all along. And my invitation to you, my opportunity that day and every day since, is to choose a different idea for how we look at things and to become more intentional about what we want to create in our lives, which sometimes means shifting out of habitual patterns and focusing on what we want to create. As Wayne Dyer says, change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. Or as Paul said in the 2nd chapter of Romans, verse 2, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so here are some ideas for putting this principle into practice. for managing the power that we have to create in a wise and conscious way. The first one I want to suggest to you is your day, your way. Choose your attitude. One of the most powerful questions that I think we can ask ourselves is, how do we want to be today? Who do we want to be today? How do we want to be in this situation? Notice in these next few days how often your behavior is based on an outside force. In the case of the story that I just told you, I had allowed the uncertainty of a sales day to influence how I behaved and how I felt. I was less fun. I was less energetic. I was less outgoing. I was more worried, more anxious, more on edge. And I recognized after the fact that I had allowed this circumstance to influence me. And as I wrote this, I was reminded of a quote by Dr. Viktor Frankl, who was a survivor of the Holocaust. He wrote the book, Man's Search for Meaning. And he said this: "The one thing you can't take away from me is the way I choose to respond to what you do to me. The last of one's freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given circumstance." When I reflect back on that day, I recognize that in effect, I had become imprisoned by my circumstance. At any point during that day, I could have freely chosen a different attitude. The circumstance would not have changed. Whether we made that goal or not would not have changed. The uncertainty about the bonus would still have been there. But I could have had fun anyway. My anxiety would in no way have added to the outcome. In fact, if anything, my anxiety might have affected the outcome negatively. If it caused me to be snappy to a customer or to speak sharply to a staff member. I realized that I could have had a good time throughout the whole day rather than being on edge. It was for no good. When I changed my mind, I had a great time. So did the staff. So did the customers. And I realized that if I had been intentional about what I wanted all along, about what I wanted to create, that entire day, not just after we had passed our goal, could have been amazing for everybody. I could have had a good time all along. So the first question that I invite you to consider is, who do I want to be? How do I want to be? Choose your day, your way. Choose your attitude. The next idea is to be a funnel, not a sponge. Another way of saying this is observe rather than absorb. And these ideas come from, or this idea, this language, funnel, not a sponge, observe, don't absorb, come from Reverend Dr. Martha Creek, whose wisdom I admire a great deal. As I mentioned, We are all interconnected. And so when someone is having a bad day or a group is feeling anxious, it can be hard for us not to absorb some of that negative energy, some of that anxious energy. And to the extent that we can notice when that energy is being shifted for us, the more we will be able to observe it and look at it as an outside person looking at it, rather than becoming absorbed by that energy and affected by the energy, whether it is of the individual or the crowd. When we allow ourselves to get sucked in to it, rather than observing it and allowing it just to flow through without affecting how we behave, then we actually are much more in control of ourselves and much more powerful. This idea is illustrated by Eric Butterworth in his book, Discover the Power Within You, when he writes, and I quote, "Sidney Harris, the distinguished news columnist, tells of visiting a Quaker friend for a weekend. Each evening, he would walk to the corner with that friend to buy the evening newspaper. The man would be cheerful and pleasant, but the newspaper seller, the newsie, would always reply with a grunt. Harris commented one night, 'He's a mighty unpleasant fellow, isn't he?' His Quaker friend replied, 'Oh, he's always that way.' To which Harris said, 'But why are you so nice to him?' And what Butterworth says is, the answer is a classic that reflects a deep understanding of Jesus's law of non-resistance. The Quaker said, 'But why should I let him determine how I am going to act?' Instead of letting others determine how I am going to act, I can aim to be true to my own values and ideals. And if it's true that we can be influenced by others, it's good to remember that it is also true that we can influence others. And so to the extent that we can remain that calm presence, we can be the equivalent of the eye of the storm, the calm in the crisis. And because everything is connected, the more we can stay calm, the more we will actually have a calming influence on the entire group. If someone is having a bad day or a frustrating day, it does not mean that we have to allow that energy to affect us. We stand in our own power. We see other people's emotions and we can certainly empathize with them. And yet, how they behave need have no influence over how we behave. We see their power, we see their energy, and we observe it, not absorb it. You try saying that 3 times quickly. Observe, not absorb. Be a funnel, do not be a sponge. Another idea, move from woe is me to what can I do now? What is practical to do now? This is really the equivalent of going from whim to win, just for fun. Distinguish, if you can, between short-term pain and long-term suffering. Don't prolong the pain of something that has already happened by allowing it to be present day suffering. Imagine, for example, that I drop a cup of coffee and it splashes all over the place. What a drag. What a pain. What an inconvenience. Now my plans all have to change. Well, no matter how much I want to, I can't get that coffee back in the cup. So I have two choices. One is to clean up the mess and go on with my day. The pain is over. I move on. Another choice is to clean up and start berating myself. And this is where the optional suffering begins. I can wish I had held onto that cup more carefully. I can tell myself that I am absent-minded or clumsy or stupid. I can replay the incident over and over and over again as if somehow that is going to change the outcome. I can say to myself, if only I had held it tighter, or I should have, or I ought to have, or I shouldn't have, whatever it might be. And none of that will add any positive benefit at all. All it does is add to my sense of powerlessness or my sense of victimhood. Woe is me. The choice is mine to make. I can look at where I am now, and I can accept the fact that the coffee is on the floor and take the sensible action to clean it up and get on with my day. Pain is over. Or I can do all of those things and continue to suffer with all of my self-talk. Now, I use coffee as an example, but that same analogy can apply to many things in our lives. The painful childhood is long gone. The marriage may have ended a long time ago. The bullying boss may have retired by now. The gossiping workplace may be a thing of the past. Let's not keep the memory alive and suffer when it is all gone. Just like Humpty Dumpty, who sat on a wall and had a great fall. Sometimes, no matter how much we want to, no matter how much we wish that Humpty hadn't sat on that wall to begin with, we can't put Humpty together again. But instead of feeling anger and upset and resentment at ourselves and others for things that have already happened, which just wastes our energy and adds no value, we can choose not to let those past experiences of pain define our current experience. Instead, what can I do now? What is practical and sane and logical for me to do now? Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Move from whim to win, from woe is me to what can I do now? And finally, if you are feeling upset or anxious about something, ask yourself this question. Do I need to buy into this belief that I need to feel anxious? Is there another idea that I can choose instead of this one? An idea that might uplift me? What am I afraid of that I want to hang on to this anxiety? What is stopping me from having more fun, having more ease, and having more freedom? What if I made it easy? So many of our automatic responses and assumptions lead to worry and to joylessness. So many of our habitual responses drain our energy and drain our spark. I'm going to encourage you to think of this. Don't believe everything you think. Instead, challenge your thinking. What do you have to lose to let go of the thoughts that are negative? What would you lose if you allowed those thoughts to dissipate and you switch to ideas that are more positive and more easygoing? This third principle, which examines the power of our minds, is a life's work, not just a Sunday message. As we challenge our beliefs, our unconscious beliefs, and our unconscious ideas, and we reprogram our automatic responses, we open ourselves up to a life of freedom. And so I hope that you consider a few of these ideas in order to shift your thinking from automatic to intentional, recognizing that all it takes is a choice. Choose your day, your way. How do you want to show up today? Be a funnel, not a sponge. Observe the emotions of others without absorbing them. Move from woe is me to what can I do now? Address the pain. Don't add to the suffering by reliving the event with regret and upset. Pain will happen. Suffering is optional. And challenge your automatic responses. Don't believe everything you think. What ideas would add more peace instead of those ideas that are habitual, that can add so much pain? You have the power to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Ideas lead to experiences. Choose ideas that reflect the life you want. You will have more peace, more freedom, more fun. I bless you. Amen.
I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. And if you ask me who am I am wisdom, I am light, I am more than meets the eye, I cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts. I have the power to change my life. I can choose to be the light that brightens someone's darkest night, and so much more than meets the eye. I cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts. I have the power to change my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts. I have the power to change my life. I have the power to change my life. I have the power to change my life.
You are invited to join us on Mondays at 11 o'clock for our weekly prayer service. It is a time where we get together on Zoom and we connect with each other. We share how we are doing with each other. We move into a time of guided prayer. And we read the names of the people who are on our prayer list. And it is a time of renewal, of connection. It is a profound experience of recentering. And so I invite you to join us for that. And if you would like your name, or you know someone who you would like to have added to that prayer list, then please email us at unityofnewwestminster@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to have the person's name or your name added to our list. Mondays at 11.
Today is the last Sunday of the month, and it is the day that we celebrate the birthdays in the month. If it was your birthday this month, please join us on Zoom after the service so that we can celebrate you. Happy birthday. We are grateful for the financial support which we receive from those who enjoy our programs. With the pandemic, some of our expenses have been lessened, and some of our expenses don't go away. So thank you for your generosity, which supports our ministry. We give a portion of our income to organizations that do amazing work in our community, both locally and in our province. So your gifts make a difference in lives. We welcome donations by credit card, check, cash, or our preferred method, Interac e-transfer, to unityofnewwestminster@gmail.com. Interac is free of service charges. Thank you. Now, please bring to your hands, to your hearts, or to your minds something that you are grateful for, as we give thanks and remember how much we have to be grateful for. We are so blessed.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. so grateful. I am so blessed.
And we come to the end of another service. I thank you for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed your experience with us today. I wish you all a very, very blessed week. Goodbye, everybody.
And let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
I am the light of God. I am the love of God. I am the power of God. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is. I am the light of God. I am the love of God. I am the power of God. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is. You are the light of God. You are the love of God. You are the power of God. You are the presence of God. Wherever you are, God is. You are the light of God. You are the love of God. You are the power of God. You are the presence of God. Wherever you are, God is. We are the light of God. We are the love of God. We are the power of God. We are the presence of God.